Hello, music lovers. Welcome to episode 96 of What Makes This Song Special. The show where every week I pick a song that means something to me, that when I hear it, it takes me back to a specific chapter, a specific time, a specific day, moment in my life. I'm sure we've all got those songs that do that to us, that take us back to something special. And I've always had this strange ability to listen to any song and remember where I was the first time I heard it. I don't know if that's some sort of weird neurological thing that I've got that other people don't, or maybe everybody can do that, I'm not sure. But I've always been able to sort of remember exactly where I was the first time I heard a song. And so we're at episode 96 now of my sort of very greedy Desert Island Discs. And it's an apt number this week because this one is taking us back to the end of 1996. So yeah, this story this week, it's very short, it's pretty niche, and honestly I thought about putting a more interesting story in and song in for this week. I'm not really selling this, am I? But selfishly this one really means something to me and I wanted to feature it, so here goes. I've spoken on the channel quite a few times about my family moving around a lot when I was a kid, so I won't dwell on that too much. Basically, for a few years amidst a pretty horrific recession in the UK, we moved from rented accommodation to Italy, to other rented accommodations, to Italy again, and back and forward and back and forward many times. I think I lived in 10 houses by the time I was 15, and a couple of those houses more than once, so it was a pretty wild few years. And as a kid you kind of take that stuff in your strides, and it can often seem like a big adventure, but I know for my mum and dad, they were desperate to get back into a house that was our very own house, and it was and they just wanted to take their lives back on track. So near the end of 96, as I said, I was 15 years old, and my mum and dad had recently bought a little newsagent's shop in Cathcart in the south side of Glasgow. They called it the Candy Box, named after the first newsagents that they had ever owned when they get married. And for the first time in many years, my mum and dad were, the business was growing fast and they were doing really well, and they were starting to get back on their feet after many years of struggles. Me and my brothers were obsessed with football. It's all we thought about, all we talked about, it's all we did 24/7, along with music. But those two things pretty much filled every single empty space in our lives at the times. My mum sometimes drove us to these red ash pitches in a wee place called Newton Mearns, and while we were playing football she would go for a walk and look at all the nice houses and dream of one day having a house there. And then one day Mum came back from our walk to get us and drive us home, and she said she'd seen this place for sale. It was a ground floor flat, or what we call a flat, an apartment for any kind of non-Scots. I don't know if flat's a word, and I think I've had this discussion before on the channel, I don't know. A flat, an apartment, a ground floor apartment. And she wanted to go and inquire about it. And we probably didn't think anything of it in that moment because we'd gone to see dozens of houses over the years and things had never really worked out. So I don't think there was anything that struck us as being unusual. It was also before the days of jumping on to see pictures on the internet or any of that stuff, so we had no idea what it looked like, how much it was, etc. But my mum had a glow about her, and she just, for some reason, she thought we could get this house. So we went back to the pictures a few times, and my mum went for a walk, and she would look at this, she would go walk past this house that was for sale. And I remember one day we were at school and I'd kind of forgotten all about it, and Mum picked us up after school and we drove up to the apartment and we parked outside, and my mum just said, "How would you like to live in there?" We were like, "What?" She was like, we've got it. And I can't really explain the emotion in that moment. It's indescribable, because it's indescribable because I suppose it's something that hit us all so. The impact of it was so huge. We're finally going to have our own house and maybe settle somewhere, not renting from somebody else. A bit of security, our own furniture, our own bedrooms, our own, everything beside a football pitch. It had been an unbelievably tough roller coaster for my parents for so many years, and it felt like it was finally over. And honestly, the pride that I've got for both of them is beyond words. You know, like what they went through whilst trying to make everything perfect for me and my brothers epitomises what it is to be a parent, in my opinion. You know, like it's really everything that I kind of strive for when it comes to looking after my own kids. Selflessness, protection, just being above all full of sort of infinite love. And yeah, just it was us against the world for so many years, and then there was finally this light at the end of the tunnel, I think, for for everybody, and as I say, especially for my parents, because me and my brothers were kids. We just enjoyed the adventure, but and again, always thinking about me and my brothers, they'd picked a sort of like a house next to a football pitch, and it was a nice area, and we wouldn't have to move schools, and it was just perfect. So there was a few weeks of moving or waiting to move. So there was a few weeks, or maybe even a couple of months of waiting for the keys and waiting to move house. And we would ask my mum and dad all the time after school if we could drive up and have a look at the house, and just sit outside, and we tried to work out which windows were like my bedroom that I'd chosen, or my brother's bedroom that they'd chosen, and of course we'd jump out of the car for a wee kickabout in the football pitches at the side. And at the time, I just bought this single by 80s synth pop band Erasure, and it was from the Cowboy album. And I think they did a bit of dip in success on the previous album. This was a bit of a kind of comeback for them, and they just released this song called "In My Arms," and the song just always reminds me of driving up the road after school and sitting outside looking at the house and anticipating moving in. That excitement you get about something, not just a house, but the excitement you get about something in life where you're waiting for this thing to happen, and the anticipation sometimes is even more amazing than actually getting it in the actual outcome. Not that I'm saying it was, but just I loved the anticipation of it, and we would get so excited about it, and we would play this song on the CD in the car and repeat, and it was just a really special time. Just an amazing time, and we did finally settle. Nearly 30, I can't believe I'm saying that, 30 years later. It makes me feel very old, my God. But nearly 30 years later, it's still my mum and dad's house today. And despite all the constant dreaming of living in Italy and being in Italy and reliving everything about Italy and reliving the chapter of living there, which obviously fills a lot of memories and nostalgia and talking points in our family. Despite all of that, it's been an amazing home to all of us over the years. It's been a place where we've spent Christmases and birthdays and family dinners together, and my mum and dad's grandkids have looked forward to going to when we've been working, or to catch up with our cousins for Sunday dinners and run about like nutters while the pasta's been made in the kitchen. A house is just such an amazing thing. It's more than just four walls and a ceiling. It's a place where memories are made and dreams are dreamed and songs are written, and it's just amazing. So that is what the song reminds me of. It reminds me of us finally getting our house, and I suppose all the things that like a house is important for, or a home is important for. I suppose it doesn't really matter. It was a home, and it's just amazing. So there you go. It's a short one. I did warn you, it's not the most exciting story this week. It's not. Sometimes I'll give you something that's very funny or a crazy story or whatever. But for me, that's just a really special wee story, and something that is very, important to me. And that song's very important to me because it takes me back to that place. And that's what music does, isn't it? It makes us nostalgic, and it takes us back to a certain moment in our lives. And it's just amazing. So, yeah, a short one without kind of too much hilarity. But that is why the song's special to me. Why is the song special to you? Let me know if this is a special song to you. Please let me know in the comments what this song takes you back to. As always, I will be doing a part 2 that comes up here any second, and you can click and I'm going to play the song for you. I'm going to do a wee guitar version this week of the song for a change. Quite different to the original because it's obviously a synth pop song, but it's my own cover version of it. And if there's anything that anybody wants to inquire about in terms of vocal coaching, in terms of anything musical, just get in touch. Let me know any songs you want to hear coming up in the upcoming episodes, or just in general, because I do post covers separate to the episodes as well. I'm sure there was something else I was going to say, but it skipped my mind. Oh yes, there was something else. Normally I would do a wee bit more of an analysis on the song and then a vocal coach like kind of analysis. I'm not going to do that this week because I did already cover Andy Summers, I almost said Andy Bell's voice way back when I did Love to Hate You a couple of years ago on another episode where that song was special to me. So I've got two Erasure songs in my top 100, but I talked about his voice then. So if you want to hear what my thoughts are on Andy Bell's amazing voice, from a sort of vocal coach analysis point of view, the Love to Hate You episode is where you would find that. I'm not going to repeat it today. Keep this one short. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, an interesting wee story next week and something a wee bit different. So I'll leave you with that bit of enigma to stir your interest. And yeah, see you then. Thank you so much.